Alrighty, welcome everyone. I am Sean Bath. I'm a program manager for the Regional Integrated Sciences and Assessments program at NOAA, and I'm going to run through the details of the FY26 Notice of Funding Opportunity. So we'll outline the RISA program, we'll talk about the competition, and then review some key information for submitting letters of intent. And actually, we will get slightly into full applications as well. So first of all, the RISA program. So the RISA program's mission is to enable local, state, regional partners to better understand, plan for, and ultimately address the long-term preparedness needs of their residents. The structure is normally awards between NOAA and teams in multi-state regions. Teams are composed of researchers and specialists covering several organizations across the multi-state regions, and the approach prioritizes co-production of actionable knowledge. Relationships are always key. On the graphic on the right, we have some of the core components of our program that we always start with the lasting partnerships and engagement, engage with collaborative research, provide usable help and support in order to make better help decision makers make better decisions, ultimately leading to increased capacity and novel solutions. The RISA program's focus areas over the years have remained have fluctuated a little bit, but remained similar in certain respects, and in these respects in particular have remained pretty consistent. We support local, state, and regional scale decision makers in addressing complex risks posed by the interaction between natural hazards and socioeconomic stressors, and some examples of that are listed up in the sentences. RISA's collaborative approach incorporates multiple knowledge sources, integrates social, physical, and natural sciences, and results in long-term support and increased readiness for communities. The RISA pillars in particular have remained the same for many years: regional relevance, local expertise, and partnerships that help build integrated scientific approaches, linking knowledge with local decision-making, and building a national network to share information and lessons learned. There's a lot of information that's kept up to date on our website at cpo.noaa.gov/RISA, and we always recommend that as a resource for our most up-to-date language. So the competition for this year. So core proposals, core of the proposal funds an interdisciplinary team for 1 year with a general blueprint of planned regional research and engagement. In the terms of this one being a focus on 1 year, they should be somewhat specific in that regard. We fund up to 1 award per region, and those the content of the proposal should still reflect the program objectives that I briefly covered just now and is further elaborated in section 1 of the NOFO. The team competition is going to cover established regions. They are research and development awards, cooperative agreements, which means there's substantial involvement of NOAA program managers in the award. And the period of performance shall be 1 year, starting September 1st, 2026 and ending August 31st, 2027. The geography of various regions has changed from our norm over the years. So I've highlighted these here in any of the regions that has changed boundaries, even if it's ever so slightly. The Great Lakes has a regional footprint of the Great Lakes watershed, and the map focuses on the US side of this currently. The lower Northeast has a boundary now that covers the entire state of New York and eastern Pennsylvania, basically the Delaware River watershed. The Mid-Atlantic covers Delaware, District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, except the Delaware River watershed. The Pacific Islands is the same, Hawaii and US affiliated Pacific Islands. The Pacific Northwest covers Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. The South Atlantic is a new region and name, but is basically this Carolinas plus Georgia. So Georgia has been added to that section. And South Central Alaska, Intermountain West, and Pacific Islands are the same. So this is what it looks like in a map form. And we will have this on the NOFO page that we publish so that it is accessible. So this notice of federal funding may fund up to 9 awards. So that's 9 regions, 1 award per region, and up to $1.8 million per award. That is the maximum cap of the funding. We are dependent on appropriations for the funding. And so I will say that we recommend putting and aiming for about 1.1 million in order to avoid or cut down on the amount of negotiations that would have to take place towards the end of the selection period. 1.1 million we feel comfortable in stating now and targeting. And if there is a fluctuation by the end of the panel review, we will be able to incorporate that in the budget negotiations that happen before funding. Okay, some key facts about the RISA competitions, and all of this information is inside the Notice of Funding Opportunity available on grants.gov. So they must pitch interdisciplinary teams. So that means they should demonstrate that the team has a balance between social and physical science expertise as relevant to address relevant regional hazards and decision-making needs. It's always focused on that, what is the need in the region. Applicants should largely be located within the region served. The application should address team structure, advisory mechanisms, research plans, and partner engagement and institutional commitment. And more information about this is on the team structure page that's linked on the bottom of this slide on the CPO RISA website. And in the program management plan section that describes more instructions, there is also a section for institutional commitment letters as well. The proposal should describe a set of interconnected projects and activities that are driven by local and regional decision-making needs, priorities, and opportunities. They should address a range of societal issues relevant to addressing weather in the region in sectors such as land use planning, water management, public health, emergency management, community development, insurance, housing, transportation, public infrastructure, basically the gamut of sectors that are overlapping. Integrate local knowledge of partners with scientific inquiry through active collaboration, the co-production piece. It should identify and inform trade-offs and/or solutions to address local and regional needs as determined by iterative dialogue with local partners, again, co-production. It should remain flexible enough to adjust to changing regional circumstances to best inform planning and effective risk reduction actions. This will take with a grain of salt given the 1-year period of performance and the need to be somewhat more focused in this regard. And it should integrate opportunities to scale products and services up, across, and deep for decision makers when appropriate. Geographic coverage. Applicants should aim to cover a reasonable extent of the states listed. They should balance coverage across coastal and inland areas, as well as urban and rural regions or areas within the region. And they should balance and consider the linkages between deeper work at the local scale with scalable work across the region. So you're aiming for balance. That is the key to all of this, is consider all of these different aspects and how you can pepper them in without focusing on one particular area too much. The boundary extents can fluctuate slightly from the regions that we have described, like the exact boundaries that we have described, as long as a case is being made that the entire geographic entity displayed on the map is covered well enough, and alterations to that are acceptable. So the letters of intent, because of this constrained timeline with a deadline right around the corner, the letters of intent are also due extremely soon. They are due May 13th. I believe that's Wednesday. Next Wednesday, May 13th. They are optional. However, we still encourage them because they are useful for the entire process. If we say no, you could still submit an application and improve it. You understand you are probably only going to get, you are only going to get yes, no, maybe from us in terms of specificity, but out of the letters of intent process, the more that we get, the more we can understand where applicants are as we construct a generalized feedback, a list of feedback items that is like feedback across the entire slate of letters of intent that we're seeing. And this will feed back to everyone and put on the NOFO page and basically make available for everyone so that they can improve their proposals, generally speaking, and make it more appropriate to the RISA model. So in general, anyway, these letters of intent are no more than 2 pages in length and will provide a concise summary of the proposed work and its relevance to the targeted competition or the pitch for that. They should be emailed to oar.cpo.risa@noaa.gov with the competition number included in the email title. And we will actually try to get back responses by the end of that week, so by the end of Friday. Letters of intent, again, should be emailed to our general RISA address. They're not required, but they help. The components underneath that, it should include a statement about the regional resilience issues to be addressed, featuring major needs and gaps of regional decision makers and how those will be addressed by the team or the perspective of this and why, essentially the basic justification for why this is needed. A brief summary of the work, the methodology used, the approaches and data sets and information needed or to be collected, a description of how the proposed work will benefit local, state, tribal, and or territorial planning and preparedness efforts with potential partners specified, the approximate cost of the project, and the relevance to the RISA program's goals and objectives. Looking ahead at the full proposal, it's advisable right now to make sure that all of your accounts in grants.gov, in sam.gov, and ERA Commons are up to date well in advance of the submission deadline, given the fact that there is sometimes a delay in requesting those accounts and getting the proper access. We will host an open office hours session for questions and answers after the letters of intent, the week after the letters of intent are due. So I believe that's the week of May 18th. And we'll post that. We'll send it out by email and also post it on the website. Full proposals are ultimately due on June 5th. So that's a 30-day timeline, the minimum required. The components have been, the page limit numbers have been brought down from prior proposals, prior NOFOs somewhat. So the project narrative, statement of work section has a page limit of 15. Everything else I think is the same here. We have some proposal components that have page limits, and those are on the bottom left here in this slide. So title page, abstract, project narrative, project management plan, results from prior research, and data and information sharing plan, just to keep those things short and concise. And elements that have some potential to sort of become more elongated, like the bibliography, those are required, but they're not going to count against the page limits. So they can be attached in a separate section after everything else. Then letters of support are not required, but are maxed at 10. And there is a optional table or listing of intended partners that you haven't had commit to the project yet, but you're looking at engaging with as part of the work. And just to look at the evaluation criteria, I believe this is pretty standard to the program as well. Importance, relevance, and applicability of the project is 40%. So those will be measured against not only the RISA program goals, but because the RISA program goals are what they are, they will be weighed against the state, local, territorial, and tribal priorities at the regional level. Technical scientific merit is at 42%. Overall qualifications of applicants at 12%, and project costs and how they're appropriate at 6%. Okay, so that's the basic rundown. We have a mailing list that's available on our website. These slides will go out, so the links will be accessible there. If anyone wants to stay tuned, if you're not already in the mailing list or haven't access to our information, and then you can reach out to us at the oar.cpo.risa@noaa.gov email address. That'll be the fastest way to reach us and make sure that you're reaching any of us given the tight timeline.